This time on a ferry on our route between two countries where you probably would not expect an international ferry. From Germany, what's right behind me, to Switzerland on the Bodensee. This is a lake that's crossing, well, bordering three countries, Germany, Switzerland, and a little bit of Austria as well. I will go from Friedrichshafen to Romanshorn. This is a car ferry that also takes passengers and on both sides of the border, so on the lake. You also find connection on the railways. What I will do in this video is show you the ferry terminal, very briefly the railway station, the Friedrichshafen Hafen, show you the boat, tiny bit of views from the boat, and also at the other side in Switzerland. For now, I hope you like this video or this is a helpful video to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube, and if you'd like to see more trip reports about long distance and international, mainly train but sometimes also ferry and sometimes bus traveling, but mainly to show you what it's like to travel in a more sustainable way of transportation, then hit the subscribe button. But for now, let's roll the intro. This is not the most obvious way to travel between Switzerland and Germany. However, on a local scale, this is quite an obvious way to travel between Switzerland and Germany, because the Bodensee is a quite big lake. And this ferry will cross in the middle from north to south, or the other way around. Within Friedrichshafen you will find two railway stations, Friedrichshafen Stad and Friedrichshafen Hafen. So basically Friedrichshafen City and Friedrichshafen Harbor. This here is the railway station of Friedrichshafen Harbor, and this is a terminal station. The other railway station, the Stad, so city one, is being also served by long distance trains. Right next to the railway station at the harbor there's a bus stop, and you're not far away from the point where you find the ferries. Even though the railway station right next to the harbor is not being served that frequent, it is only an 11-minute walk from the other railway station to the ferry terminal, so it's not a long walk. You find information displays about departure times for the ferries, and there are also some ticket counters. We had some time to spend because we just missed our ferry and we went for a little wander. It was quite early on a Saturday morning when I filmed this part of the video. The Bodensee is a really touristic area, and if you hang around here and well go through these little towns along the Bodensee, I can imagine why, because there are quite a lot of cute towns over here. Some of the ferries that will go along the Bodensee are more a fun way of traveling from one point to another one. But the ferry we'll be taking today is actually a ferry that makes sense on a local scale. It's mainly being used by foot passengers, but also passengers traveling by car can use this ferry. And on both sides of the lake, so at the Swiss and at the German side, you have a connection on the railways. Although in Switzerland it's slightly better, because once again the railway station in Germany right next to the harbor is not being served that frequent. By the way, you will find railway tracks all around the Bodensee, and in terms of international trains, both regional and long distance trains, it's quite good. This ferry is a roll-on, roll-off ferry for cars, what basically means you just drive your car on the ferry and you leave the ferry from the other side of the ferry. At the lower deck there's also some space where you can park bikes, and this is quite a popular route for passengers traveling by bike. If you're traveling in a wheelchair, there are no elevators on board of this vessel. However, at the lower floor there's a bigger accessible toilet. Actually, this is the only toilet I really noticed, and at the other side there's a small area inside, so if you're traveling in a wheelchair you can sit inside here if it's bad weather, because these ferries go all year round. The first upper deck is not that special. You don't find any facilities over here apart from some places where you can just take a seat. The middle deck is partially covered, but well, if it's really windy, I think it's not that comfortable over here. So let's go to the upper deck where you find most facilities on board of this vessel. At the sides of the upper deck there's a nice sun deck with lots of places where you can take a seat. But most important, there's also a restaurant on board of this vessel. It's not that special though, but it's really nice that it's there. It's quite spacious as well, and once again, if it's bad weather, I think this is also the perfect spot to hang around. You can even buy souvenirs, as you can see over here, but oh, the Bodensee, I can't say this enough, is quite touristic. This here is the maquette of the vessel where we're on today, and right now I'm at the upper deck. It's not a big vessel as you can see. And even though this is an international crossing by ferry, there's no tax-free shopping because this ferry doesn't go on open sea. For now, I'll just show you some views from the ferry between Friedrichshafen and Romanshorn. I'll get back to you if the ferry arrives in Romanshorn. In the Romanshorn, what is on the Swiss side of the Bodensee lake, the ferry is docking right next to a small marina. Of course, over here you find lots of information about departure information for the ferries right next to the ferry terminal. And there are some terraces. I think it's a really nice town over here, but we didn't spend that much time here. The railway station is located right next to the marina and the ferry terminal, if I can call this a terminal at least. From here on you find mainly local trains. However, when we were here I also noticed an old heritage steam railway. After googling a bit, the steam railway is being operated by the Verein Historische Mitteltugaubahn, if I pronounce it right. And I think this is only on weekend days, but that's not the train we took. We took a local S-Bahn train to St. Gallen, and from St. Gallen we visited the Abbey of St. Gallen, what is really worth visiting if you are around. From an historical perspective, St. Gallen is really interesting. Well, that's off topic for this channel, but it's really worth doing some research on this. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did so, give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, mainly train, sometimes ferry, and even sometimes buses. That's very rare though, but mainly to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation on long distances and or international. This ferry ticks the box because it's an international ferry. Then hit the subscribe button. See you on my next video. If you're interested in other trip reports, of course you can find them on this channel, and you can always subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. Then, if you really don't want to miss anything, also hit the bell icon so you get a notification. But apart from that, in the description of this video you find a link to a map, and on this map you can find all trip reports. See you on the next video.